Hello, class. Today we're going to be talking about scales and scale maps. So I wanted to do this really fun activity with you guys about measuring maps and things like that, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. If you're watching this video, it means I'm not there. So basically, you've all seen a map. Let's just come over here for a second. Say, I'm going to draw a really crappy America. Oh my, it's beautiful. Alright, so we'll say this is a map of America, and in the bottom it says, like, this much equals 300 miles. Okay, and you're like, alright, so you take a ruler and you measure how long this is, and you go ahead and measure it on the map. And then you can, if it's like twice as long, then it would be 600 miles. If it's half as long, it would be 150 miles. That's basically what we're going to do over here. So the scale I want you to go on is that 1 inch is equivalent to 300 miles, what we just did. 1 inch is 300 miles. So this number 1 says the distance from London to New York City is 3,472 miles. If they were on the map, how many inches apart would they be? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to set up a proportion. 1 inch is 300 miles on our map. So if it is 3,472 miles, then X inches would it be? How many inches? Well, we remember we can do this cross multiplication, the blue and the green, and we multiply the two things together. The 3,472 times 1 is just that, equals 300 times X. And if you divide both sides by 300, you will get X to equal about 11.57 inches. So that's how many inches apart they would be on a map. So almost a foot. That is pretty long. 12 inches. So let's do the next one. Greenland, which is up by the North Pole, to Antarctica, which is the South Pole. We're doing the same thing on the left for every single problem. 1 inch equals 300 miles because all of these would be on the same exact map. So, of course, X inches this time, and 1,115, right? Or no, 11,000. My bad. 11,115 miles. Goodness gracious. So use our butterfly wings. Mine are a little messy, but it's okay. We would get 1,115 equals 300x. Then we divide by 300, you know the drill. And we would get 37.05 inches. Oh my goodness, that is almost an entire yard for inches. That is pretty big. So we have 2 more, and it's the exact same thing. I'm going to go a little faster. 1 inch, 300 miles. This one is 3,841 miles to X inches. This time we're going from Paris, France to Washington, D.C. So let's see. I'm not going to use my butterflies, but that's what we do. 3,841 equals 300 times X. Divide by 300 on both sides. And the distance between Paris, France and Washington, D.C. is 12.80 inches. So about another foot. That's the same distance between New York City and London. Wow, that is crazy. I never thought about that. Paris to DC is the same between London and New York City. Interesting. And now we'll do our last one. The distance from Miss Cayman's house to Crossroads North. I don't know what these things are. They're just made up. But same thing. 1 inch, 300 miles. The distance is 10 miles between them. So it would be a small amount of inches. This time we have 10 times 1 and 300 times x. Divide by 300, divide by 300. 10 divided by 300 is very short. It is 0.03 inches. So less than half an inch there. And that is kind of the notes. Again, I wish we would have had more of a fun activity with some measuring over here, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. See you guys next time.